Tonight, the fire burns low, and the shadows stretch long. We travel not to one haunted place, but 3 across oceans and centuries. From the ridges of North Carolina, where phantom lights drift in silence, to the dark woods of Transylvania, where the forest itself remembers you, and finally to old Japan, where a sorrowful ghost rises from her well to count forever. These are not just stories. They are hauntings that cross continents. Listen carefully, for they do not easily let go once heard. In the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, there is a place where the dark does not stay dark. On clear nights, after the sun has gone and the ridges fade into shadow, lights appear over Brown Mountain. They rise from the hollows and drift above the tree line, glowing in colors no lantern ever held: blue, red, sometimes white. They float, hover, dance, and vanish. Some are quick as sparks, others linger like stars pulled too close to Earth. People have seen them for as long as memory reaches. The Cherokee told of ghost fires burning on the ridge, the spirits of women searching for fallen warriors. Settlers wrote of lanterns drifting through the trees, leading hunters astray. By the early 1900s, newspapers filled with accounts: trainmen, farmers, tourists, all describing the same thing: phantom lights, inexplicable and undeniable. The United States Geological Survey sent men to investigate. They spent weeks measuring, charting, watching. They concluded it was nothing more than headlights reflecting, swamp gas rising, atmospheric tricks of refracted light. Yet when they packed their equipment and left, the lights stayed. Headlights cannot explain lights seen in 1771. Swamp gas does not drift against the wind, and tricks of the atmosphere do not leave burn marks in the soil. An early settler's journal, dated 1812, holds one of the clearest surviving descriptions. Upon the ridge, as dusk did fall, I beheld a fire, bright and round. It did lift itself, hover in the night air, and vanish sudden. Others, too, saw the same, and we dared not go closer. Local Cherokee oral tradition stretches further back. One tale tells of a battle fought on the slopes, where many warriors fell. Their spirits, unable to find peace, carried torches in the night as they searched for home. Another claims the lights are guides for the dead, leading souls through the mountains. But hunters noticed something stranger. The lights did not always wander. Sometimes they paused, still and waiting, until the hunter moved, and then they moved too, as if watching. In 1913, a flood cut power to the region. For weeks, there were no trains, no cars, no lights at all. Yet every night, the Brown Mountain lights appeared, brighter than before. Farmers saw them rise from the hollows like lanterns lifted by invisible hands. Families sat on porches and watched them drift silently across the ridge. A man named William Saunders, a railroad worker, wrote in a letter to his wife, "They rise in 2s and 3s, blue like gas flame, red like coal. They do not flicker. They move as if they know where to go." He never returned home. His body was found months later, deep in the forest. No injuries, no cause of death. Campers tell of waking in the night to find their tents glowing, a soft light seeping through the canvas. Stepping outside, they see the lights hovering just beyond the trees, silent and patient. Some watch, entranced, until the sun rises. Others follow. Those who follow rarely return. Over decades, witnesses began to notice something. The lights were not random. They pulsed in patterns, sometimes slow, sometimes quick, like signals sent across a distance. Hunters swore the lights flashed in 3s when they aimed rifles, in 5s when they spoke aloud. In 1922, a professor from Duke University camped at the base of the mountain with a group of students. They brought notebooks and cameras, determined to solve the mystery. They watched for 3 nights. On the 4th, the professor wrote, "The lights answered us. When we struck matches, they brightened. When we called, they drew nearer. They are not reflections. They are not fire. They are something alive. His journals were found years later in a cabin, abandoned halfway up the ridge. The professor and his students were never seen again. Those who live near Brown Mountain know not to wander the hollows after dark. The air feels heavy there, damp and close, like the earth is holding its breath. Trees twist in odd directions, roots breaking through stone. Birds fall silent. And sometimes, if you are unlucky, the lights rise right in front of you. Hunters describe them as orbs the size of fists, glowing blue at the core with a red halo, soundless and steady. They float at eye level, pulsing faintly. Stare too long, and the world seems to tilt. Distances shift. The ground slopes where it should be flat. Shadows bend the wrong way. One man, a hunter named Carver, followed a light into a hollow in 1931. His companions found him at dawn, standing motionless, eyes fixed on nothing. His pupils were blown wide, his skin burned around the sockets as though from bright flame. He lived another 10 years, but never spoke again. The longer people watched, the clearer it became. The lights were speaking, not with words, but with rhythm, pulses, movements. Some locals believed they were warnings. Stay away. Do not follow. Others thought they were invitations. The patterns grew more complex when watched closely, looping, repeating, like phrases in a tongue no one could decipher. By the 1960s, a few researchers tried recording the flashes on film. When slowed, the sequences resembled geometric diagrams, spirals, triangles, shapes that folded into themselves. Non-Euclidean, impossible. One reel of film survived, stored in a university archive. The frames show a light pulsing in 7-point patterns, then splitting into 2, then merging again. The archivist who cataloged it noted in the margin, "This is not weather. This is not geology. This is intent. The light's lure. That much is certain." Every generation, a few go missing. Campers who step into the dark, hikers who wander off trails, hunters who vanish between ridges. Their bodies are rarely found. When they are, the results are worse. Skin pale, eyes burned, mouths twisted into shapes of words that do not belong to any tongue. Some have geometric scars etched into their flesh, as though carved by light itself. Others are intact but hollow, as if emptied of whatever made them human. Locals whisper that the lights need witnesses. They draw the living close, peel something away, and carry it back to whatever waits beneath the mountain. The mountain is not solid. Beneath the ridges are caves, hollows, chambers no map has charted. Miners who dug near the base spoke of tunnels that bent in circles, walls slick with strange residue, echoes that did not match their voices. One miner wrote in 1919, "We dug too deep, found a place that was not earth. The rock folded like cloth. The light came from the stone itself. We left and sealed the shaft. God forgive us. That shaft has never been found. Or perhaps it has, and those who found it did not return." The truth whispered in Boone and Morganton is this: the lights are not ghosts, not souls, not fire. They are feelers, probes, signals from something vast beneath the mountain, older than the ridges, older than the Cherokee, older than anything that walks on earth. The lights are its language. And every time we watch, every time we follow, we answer. Today, tourists flock to overlooks built by the state. They bring binoculars, cameras, phones. They laugh, waiting for the show. And more often than not, the lights oblige. They rise, drift, hover. Sometimes they flare close enough to make crowds gasp, but no one notices the patterns. No one sees that the lights always know when they are being watched. They pulse faster when cameras focus. They brighten when crowds murmur. They linger longest when someone whispers, "What is that?" And sometimes, just sometimes, one light does not vanish with the others. It hovers behind a single onlooker. It follows them down the mountain road. It shines faintly through their bedroom window. It waits. There are places where the earth is thin, where things older than men press against the surface. Brown Mountain is one of those places. The lights are not a mystery to solve, but a message to heed. They are not swamp gas. They are not headlights. They are not ghosts. They are a call. And one night, when enough of us have watched and wondered and whispered, the call will be answered. If you ever stand on that ridge and see the lights rise, do not stare. Do not follow. Do not believe you are safe, because there are others beside you. Because once the lights recognize you, they never forget. And when they decide you are ready, they will lead you into the hollows, and you will not ever come back. The lights fade behind us, but the night is far from over. Where one mystery vanishes into the sky, another waits in the earth itself. Let us walk deeper into a forest where compasses spin, time collapses, and something patient watches between the trees. Welcome to the Hoia-Baciu Forest. There is a forest outside Cluj-Napoca in Transylvania that locals have feared for centuries. From the road, it looks no different from any other patch of woodland. Crooked oaks, dense thickets, the hum of insects in summer, the muffled hush of snow in winter. But if you ask the people who live nearby, they will tell you not to wander there. They will tell you the forest is wrong. They call it Hoia-Baciu, and they call it cursed. Some whisper that it is haunted by peasants murdered long ago, their spirits trapped in the trees. Others say it is a place where the veil between worlds has thinned, where things slip through that do not belong. A few say it is older than all of that, older than memory, a place where the earth itself folds in ways no man should step. To outsiders, it is known by another name, the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. And for anyone who has gone too far beneath its canopy, that name feels deserved. People vanish there. Hunters, hikers, children. Some are never seen again. Some return hours later, dazed and confused, unable to explain where they have been. A shepherd once led 200 sheep into the forest. Neither he nor his flock ever came out. Families searched for weeks. Not a bone, not a fleece, not a footprint was ever found. Those who do come back often carry strange marks. Red rashes burned into their skin, as if from radiation or heat, though no fire touched them. Some are sick for weeks afterward. Others bear scars that never heal. And some return with something else, memories that don't align, time that doesn't add up. They walk in at noon and return at dusk, believing only minutes have passed. The forest does not care for clocks or calendars. Inside, time folds as easily as branches in the wind. And then there are the lights. Visitors tell of glowing orbs drifting silently through the trees. They flicker blue, green, white. Sometimes they hover, pulsing gently, before vanishing into the bark. Cameras aimed at them often fail, shutters freezing, batteries draining to nothing in seconds. Photographs that do survive show shapes that shouldn't be there. Misty figures, faces pressed against the glass, forms half human and half something else. Electronics never last long. Compasses spin wildly. Radios hiss with static, sometimes bending into voices that no one recognizes, speaking in tongues no one understands. Phones freeze, recorders fill with distorted hums. Cameras capture nothing but black. It is as though the forest itself does not want to be seen. The heart of Hoia-Baciu is a place the locals avoid most of all. Deep inside the trees lies a clearing, nearly a perfect circle where nothing grows. No grass, no flowers, no shrubs. Only bare earth, as though scorched by something unseen. Scientists have tested the soil, taken samples, run experiments. They say there is no reason. Plants will not grow there. No disease, no poison, no imbalance. And yet, year after year, the clearing remains barren, an empty wound in the forest. Step into it, and the air changes. Birds go silent. Wind falls still. The temperature drops without warning, breath frosting in summer air. Some feel watched there, as though the trees themselves lean inward, bending to see who has dared step into the circle. Photographs taken in the clearing often distort. Figures appear in the background, faces half seen, limbs too long. Some visitors swear they hear whispers in languages they cannot place, voices echoing as though from far away. More than one person has collapsed there, struck by sudden nausea, dizziness, splitting migraines. A few have woken hours later with no memory of what happened. One man describes stepping into the circle at noon and seeing the sun wheel overhead in a blink, night falling in seconds. He awoke lying on the dirt at dawn, 24 hours gone, though to him it was only moments. The clearing is the heart of the forest's strangeness, the place where geometry itself seems to falter. What lives there is less clear. Apparitions are common, shadows flitting between trees, pale figures drifting at the edge of vision. Some appear solid, dressed in old clothes, staring with hollow eyes before vanishing. Others are less human shapes, twisted and angular, movements jerky as though played in reverse. Photographs capture them best. Pale outlines, faces blurred into smears, hands reaching from nowhere. But worse than what you see is what you feel. Visitors describe the sense of being watched, not by one presence, but by many. Not like eyes in the dark, but like the forest itself is aware, its branches and roots and shadows all bending toward you. Some describe pressure in their skulls, as if thoughts not their own are pressing inward. Others speak of dreams that follow them after they leave, dreams of endless trees, of circles within circles, of lights moving in silent rhythm. The forest does not simply haunt, it remembers. Locals tell stories passed down through generations. A girl vanished there in the 1960s, gone for 5 years, and returned suddenly to her family's home. She had not aged a day. Her clothes were the same, unstained and whole, as though no time had passed for her at all. She remembered nothing, but her eyes were different. She flinched at sunlight. She spoke little. Within months, she was gone again, leaving her bed in the night and never returning. Researchers came in the 1970s with instruments and cameras. They reported electromagnetic spikes, unexplained radiation, bursts of heat that singed their skin. One camera captured a sudden burst of light in the barren clearing, bright enough to blind, though no source was ever found. When the film was developed, it showed a twisted shape rising from the soil, a column of angles and shadows. The negatives burned to ash within days, though no fire touched them. Skeptics dismiss these stories as superstition, the kind of folklore any isolated place might collect. They say the forest is only a forest, its legends fed by tourists and thrill seekers. But the people who have walked there at night know better. Too many return pale and silent, unwilling to describe what they saw. Too many carry burns on their arms, rashes across their skin, eyes that twitch at shadows no one else sees. Some things in the Hoia-Baciu are older than folklore, older than language. They wait in the crooked branches, in the barren soil, in the clearing where nothing grows. They wait with patience, as trees do, bending time and space as easily as wind bends grass. And if you stay long enough, if you listen to the hum in the soil, you will realize the truth. The forest is not haunted by ghosts. The forest is alive. It watches. It remembers. It waits. And once you step beneath its canopy, it will not forget you. Not when you leave, not when you sleep, not when you wait miles away. It will still be there, branches bending toward your memory, shadows stretching into your dreams. Because the Hoia-Baciu Forest does not let go, it only waits for you to return. The forest closes in behind us, leaving only silence. But across the seas, in another land, another spirit waits. Her grief is sharper than any blade, her scream louder than the wind. Follow me now to Edo, Japan, where the voice of a wronged servant girl still rises each night from a well that will never rest. In the old days of Edo, when samurai lords ruled their households with iron discipline, there stood a mansion in the district of Bansho, quiet by day, but restless by night. It was not the sliding doors or the lanterns that gave it life, but the porcelain plates within, 10 of them, delicate and priceless, heirlooms of the house. They were counted and polished daily, guarded as treasures beyond food or coin. And to one servant girl fell the duty of tending them. Her name was Okiku. She was young, diligent, her steps soft upon the tatami mats. Each morning she laid the plates out in order. Each evening she returned them to their chest. Her hands were steady, her eyes watchful. But even the most careful life may stumble when envy or cruelty waits in silence. Some say her master desired her, and she refused him. Others say a rival servant coveted her place and plotted against her. Still others whispered that the plate was truly broken, whether by chance or carelessness, and that no forgiveness could be found for so grave a loss. However it happened, the tale is always the same. One plate went missing. 9 plates sat in their place, and the 10th was gone. The house trembled with fury. The samurai master raged, his honor wounded, his treasure incomplete. Okiku searched again and again, but no crack, no shard, no trace could she find. And whether it was through treachery, accusation, or truth, the blame fell upon her. Some tell that she was struck, her body beaten. Some tell she was bound, her cries ignored. But all agree on the end. She was dragged to the garden well, deep and black, where water lay unmoving. And there, without mercy, she was cast down. Her scream echoed against the stone. Her body fell into the dark, and the waters closed above her. The household was silent after that. The 9 plates remained, mute and gleaming. The 10th was never found. But death was not the end for Okiku. It began the very next night. A servant walking past the well stopped suddenly. From the darkness rose a faint sound, a voice, soft and thin, tripping as though carried upward on water. It was the voice of a woman, familiar and broken. 1, 2, 3. The servant froze, breath caught in his chest. The voice went on, steady and low. 4, 5, 6. He ran inside, whispering what he heard, but the others laughed nervously, unwilling to believe. Yet when midnight came again, more ears heard it. A woman's voice rising from the well. 7, 8, 9. And then silence. The listeners leaned close, hearts pounding. For a moment, all was still. Then the voice came again, louder now, sharpened by grief and rage. 10. A shriek split the night, high and piercing, echoing through every corner of the house. Servants clutched their ears. Lamps rattled on their hooks. Children cried in terror. The voice faded only after long minutes, leaving silence heavier than before. Night after night, the haunting returned. Okiku's voice would rise, dripping with sorrow, always the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The pause stretched thin, unbearable. Then came the shriek. Sometimes she screamed the missing number. Sometimes it was only a howl of loss and rage. But always it cut through the night, freezing the blood of all who heard. Samurai who had faced battle trembled at the sound. Servants covered their ears with cloth, but the voice seeped through. Some fled the mansion entirely, unable to endure the counting any longer. It did not stop at the household. Neighbors too began to hear it, the ghostly counting rising with the wind. Travelers along the road paused and crossed themselves, hearing the soft voice drip from the well, though the gates were shut. The tale spread quickly until all Edo knew of the counting maid of Bansho. Priests were called. They chanted sutras, rang bells, burned incense, until the smoke filled the mansion. But when midnight came, the voice returned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The priests prayed louder, beads clutched in trembling hands. But no prayer silenced the scream that followed. Exorcists came, men skilled in binding restless spirits. They cast charms upon the well, inked paper seals upon the stones. For a day, silence lingered. But on the second night, Okiku's voice returned, softer than before, but sharper too. The counting measured, deliberate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The seals blackened and fell, scorched as though by unseen fire. They say she appears still on some nights, rising from the well's mouth. Her body is pale as porcelain, her hair long and wet, her kimono torn by the fall. Her eyes are wide, her face streaked with sorrow. She crawls upon the rim, fingers dripping water, her mouth whispering numbers. She searches endlessly for the missing plate, for the broken honor, for the 10th that will never come. Those who see her say, she will not look at you. She counts instead, her lips shaping each number slowly, mournfully. But if you wait, if you listen for the end, if you hear her shriek, then her head turns, and her eyes find yours. The well is still there in Atchison, some say. Others say it was filled, covered with stone, sealed to keep her below. But no seal can bind an Onru, a spirit of vengeance as strong as Okiku's. Her grief is too deep, her rage too sharp. The well may be closed, but the voice still rises. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the silence, the pause, the breathless waiting. And then the scream. Travelers who stay near the site report dreams of water dripping in the dark. They wake to the sound of counting, faint at first, then louder until their ears ring with it. Some wake with porcelain shards upon their pillows, though none are missing from their homes. A few claim to hear the counting wherever they go, whispered in alleys, echoed in tea houses, breathed against their ears in the dead of night. The story of Okiku is told as warning to those who would wrong the innocent, to those who would betray trust, twist honor, or break what cannot be replaced. Her sorrow is endless, her scream eternal, and her counting, her endless, hopeless counting, marks the hours of those who hear it. For once she counts you, she does not forget. Okiku is not a tale of battle or conquest. She is not a ghost who may be bought with prayers or turned aside with charms. She is sorrow made into sound, grief bound to ritual. She counts because she cannot stop. She screams because the 10th plate is always missing. And every time she rises from the well, every time her voice drips from the stones, she carries her grief into the ears of the living. Listen closely, and you may hear it. The soft whisper, the steady cadence, the endless tally of loss. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the pause. And then the scream. And so the fire burns low once more. We have seen lights that no science can name, walked a forest that remembers every step, and heard a ghost's endless counting echo across centuries. 3 hauntings, 3 continents, 1 truth. The dead do not sleep quietly. Remember these stories, but do not carry them too closely. For some voices, once heard, will follow you into the dark.